This is Empowered PowerPoint, a class that I teach. I'm doing this in 2016 or Office 365. Most of these features should work in 2013. So I'm going to go through a few basics here. You have an image, you can recolor it. I click on the picture, I click on Format, and you can go into color here. You can make it blue, gray, purple here. Let's use that dramatic there. I could also go into artistic effects. I can make it look like crisscross. That plastic wrap might work. I can also do other things in here with corrections here. You can increase, lighten the exposure. So if I want it to look like this, I can do that with the brightness here. If I want to, I don't like what I did. I just click on Reset Picture. It's back to what it was. Occasionally you might have some pictures. You might want them arranged this way, but let's say you're dealing with graphic objects. You want them all to be the same size. You want them evenly aligned. I click on the picture. I click on Format. It shows the height as 2.44, 1.66. Okay, I can realign it, and if I go into the corner, it keeps it even. If I go like that, I squish it. Typically you don't want to distort, but let's say I want all the pictures the same size. I'm going to click on this one. Let's say I'm going to make them all 1.5, 1.5. Go into here, 1.5. Go into here, 1.5. Go into here, 1.5. Go over here, 1.5. Now let's say I want them all even, like in a row, and I want them evenly distributed. What I could do is just hold my finger on the Shift key. You can see it's all over the place. I am on the Format tab. I'm going to say Align. I'm going to just say Align Bottom. They're all grouped. I want it higher. I could just click inside, pull up or down or to the left or the right. Now what I want there, I want them evenly spaced in between. I'm going to click on Align here. I am going to see what happens here. If I say distribute horizontally, it keeps them all even. If it was going in a column, it would be distribute vertically. Now let's say I don't want to go and have things messed up here. I could just click on the word group and say group, so that way they're all one big happy family. I could also watch this. You could do effects here. Since they're grouped, let's see what happens here. It puts the same border around all of them. You got that. You could change the picture border here, the color here, blue, orange. Let's just get a grip. We've got the green, and I can go into picture effects here. I can make it bevel it. It gives you all these effects here. So we've got that done. Next thing I want to do, go to the next slide. Move objects in front and behind. Like let's say I want this bigger one behind the smaller one. I right click inside there. I could say send to back. And I have this one in the front here. What I'm doing here, you're going to be getting rid of backgrounds eventually. This can be very tricky. You need good contrast between the foreground and the background. And so I'm going to go into this one here. I'm showing an after, and it's not perfect if you look over here. You really need Photoshop where you have things here, but I don't want the background in this picture. So what I'm going to do, I go into Format, I go into Remove Background, and it's not perfect. I am going to zoom this up right now. It makes life a lot easier, that plus in the lower right hand corner. I'm going to say mark areas to remove, and watch this. If I are areas to keep, I click inside here. It remembers this, remembers that, remembers that. It's not perfect. Go up here, go in here, go over here, but I want to keep this. Click over here, gonna click in here, we've got a few white areas that we want to get rid of. I don't want this video to go on for 2 hours. I say keep changes. So what you're getting is the flower in front of here. So it's a reasonably satisfactory example here. Next thing I want to do here, I want to talk about graphics. Let's say you want to put the logo in every corner of a slideshow. I'm going to talk about templates in another example. But what it is, I've got this logo here. And let's say I want the text color to match the orange inside here. I highlight the text here. And then I click inside the drop down arrow next to here. This is already in here, but if I go into more eyedropper, I take my mouse, and let's say I want that dark blue there. It shows it, and then it's applied. I use the gold in here. What I want to do is I want this logo to be on every page, and I can make it smaller, but I want this next to the margin on every page. Rather than pasting this 6 times, I can, for example, put it in the master. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to do a copy, Control C. I'm going to go into the slide master. I click on the word view. I click on slide master. Now it shows your slide master there. I go to the very first one, which is larger. I'm going to paste it. It will show up on every one. And of course, I want this in the corner here. And let's say another example. Let's say I want that nice blue for the title of every slide. Maybe add another font style here. I'm going to go on to home. I'm going to go into the color here that I used before. Make it that blue. Let's say I want to make it bold. Let's say I want a different font. I click inside here. I have Airstrike. This is what is on my personal computer. It typically is not on school computers. You can just type in fonts in Google and you could download fonts. Most schools have that restricted. So if you look down here, it's all on all of these here. I'm doing this as a very simple example. I'm on the slide master. I'm going to close out of the master view, and if I go over here, you could see it on every slide. Last thing here, let's say you want a background on every slide. I click on the design tab. You got these themes here. This is a custom class. I'm going to click on format background. You could go into picture or pattern fill, other ones here. Gradient, it shows a light blue here, and I can click over here. I want something a little bit lighter. I have that. You can spend hours figuring this out. We'll just use this light blue here, and I want it on all of them. I say apply to all. So I've got everything here. Sometimes you might want the plain white background, especially when you have a lot of graphics there, because it looks a little bit ugly with a capital U. Like you look at the library thing here, it shows there. I'm just going to hit the undo. I'm going to leave it white. Last thing, let's say you want numbering for the slides. Very, very easy. Insert. And it's header and footer. I want the slide number. I don't want it on the title slide. I say apply to all, and it's showing it in the lower right hand corner. If you're doing the slideshow, I'll just hit the F5 key, or I could click on the thing there, go through it very briefly. So that's a few of the things here that I've demonstrated.